This comes to us from Pirate Nation. Collective shout feminist group open letter to payment processors. They have admitted responsibility for censorship with payment processors for Steam and potentially other platforms. Now, for those of you that missed it, previously we were talking about how Steam had allegedly bent the knee to payment processors and internet providers, ISPs, to remove certain games that didn't align with the ideologies, we'll say, of certain groups out there. And because of that, people were rightfully frustrated and speaking their minds, saying that these credit card companies shouldn't have this kind of power. Now it turns out that, at least allegedly, we have Collective Shout taking credit for it. Here is the open letter to payment processors profiting from bleep, bleep, bleep abuse games on Steam. And it goes through Mr. Alex Chris, CEO PayPal, and the CEO of Mastercard, and the CEO of Visa, and the CEO of PaySafe Limited, and the CEO of Discover, and the CEO of the Japan Credit Bureau. And it says, regarding your corporations facilitating and profiting from bleep, bleep, and bleep, bleep abuse game sales. We, the undersigned, are writing to request that you cease processing payments on gaming platforms which host bleep and bleep, bleep themed games. And that's where this cuts off, but it comes from Collective Shout. And this was on July 11th, 2025. And wouldn't you know it, just a few short days after that, all those games came down. Wow, they work fast. Madam Savvy on X. Well. Collective Shout has labeled me a man because they couldn't imagine a woman actually defying them. Collective Shout has labeled me a man because I am a sex traitor. And Collective Shout won't answer my question because they assume I am a man. Naturally, they also blocked me. I am so tired of feminist groups getting to push companies around, weaponizing language and law, and focusing on fiction instead of promoting the family unit and changing the culture of how parents use the internet. They're back on the grind of video game bad, but instead of violence, it's now sex. Which, by the way, quick interjection here. Didn't we all predict that this is what was going to happen? This was like the major concern of when Goonergate started. We were like, anyone who knew what was happening, Madam Savvy, Grums, Hypnotic, myself, were all very vocal, being like, whoa, this is bad. We do not endorse people trying to stop the sexualization in games. We don't want that. We don't want any censorship in these games. I don't stand by these people, even if they say politically we align on the right or whatever, or we lean right. We still differ too much to be like, yeah, we're going to separate from them because yikes, that was crazy. And wouldn't you know it, fast forward, 5 months? Here it is. We saw the foreshadowing back then. They write a whole lot of drivel to say, we cannot separate fiction and reality, but we all know they don't actually care about that. Not a peep about payment processors servicing Hollywood, full of bleep and misogyny, which, by the way, great point. Why is it video games that are being penalized right now? This is literally the rationale and reasoning why the ESRB was created in the first place. And once the ESRB came into play, everyone was fine. Everyone was like, yeah, I didn't necessarily agree with the ESRB being there, but it was one of those, it's the lesser evil than the government coming in and really wreaking havoc of the video game industry. So, okay, I guess I'll meet you halfway and accept the ESRB. I don't like it. but it's better than the alternative of what I saw coming down the pipe. That being the case, ESRB is still a thing, but people apparently don't know that, or they forgot. And now that they want to go beyond that and say, we don't care if it's rated mature. We don't care if it's rated adults only. That's not enough. Now we need to prevent you from being able to buy that game. Even if you're an adult that made your own money and can make your own decisions as an adult, they are taking your ability away from buying that game. Just insane to me. Insane. Not a peep about them servicing Diddy's website. Oh my God. They really think 1,000 emails demands them an audience and to be taken seriously. But when thousands more push back against them, they want to brush it off. F off. So this is Collective Soul. We're calling on payment processors to stop profiting from that stuff. So naturally, misogynistic gamers have doubled down in their defiance of those kind of games. We've responded to their claims here. When men who claim Bleep simulation game, along with other misogynistic content they consume, has no bearing on the real world because it's a video game. Holy crap. Yeah. Has no bearing on real world behaviors, send us sexist that and that. We can't help but notice the irony. So are they trying to claim that before video games existed, there was no such thing as bleep or even bleep? That all this stuff was just introduced with video games? Is that what they're trying to say right now? That's a wild claim. Savvy. Oh, and they screen cap Savvy, who, if you aren't familiar with Madam Savvy, she is a woman. You're a gross little pro-censorship piggy. Tell me, how does this help the women being bleeped in the UK by men who don't play games? Where's their response to that? Well, they don't have one. Gotcha. Maybe we should stop pushing companies around and start sending them tons of thousands of emails. Savvy, unironically, yes, I agree. But at the same time, I almost feel like they don't listen to the people that they're saying they want this in there. They only get scared of being canceled by people saying they don't want things in there because it scares them. It's mean words or whatever. But it doesn't stop there. We also have Pirate Nation saying, it begins with games deemed dangerous and ends with games they dislike. So this is Collective Shout. Collective Shout reposted Megan Murphy. Pervert nerds are responsible for most of society's ills. Prove me wrong. I can guarantee you look up any of the biggest criminals on the planet or anyone doing anything horrific when it comes to bleep, or bleep. You're not going to find people that play video games or are nerds or are perverts. That's not going to be one of the things that shows up. I think the only thing I might say that you might find them in, maybe the PDFs, maybe that, but those games are already like not allowed, and society in general has at least one thing anyone can agree on is that is not something that should ever be a part of anything. Like, let kids be kids, leave the kids alone. That is a universal truth that will forever remain the truth. And if anyone tries to fight that, you need to put that out fast, because that's not something that there's any kind of wiggle room on. But that being the case, though, that's kind of an accepted thing. This stuff is like, we're going to start rolling the ball and start canceling what they feel is perverted, what they feel like has kinks that aren't acceptable. And then what? Where does it end? The dance animation for Grok Companion Annie in spicy mode. This isn't progression. It's regression. Who wrote this? Melanie Mack. and degrading to the female sex. You are going down a very dark path here. This is disturbing, Elon. Oh my God. The pearl clutching. The pearl clutching. It's over 9,000. It's impressive. And I agree, by the way, with Pirate Nation, that this is what it's turning into with a company like, or a group like Collective Shout. This is the slippery slope that we're calling out. This is why it's important to have streaming, to have videos, to have YouTube, to call this stuff out immediately, to nip it in the bud so that it doesn't go down the path of a slippery slope. This Collective Shout, whatever conglomerate group of people, or is it probably like 3 Karens that pretend to be bigger? They are clearly influencing pop culture currently, and they will stop at nothing to push their agenda. And their agenda is not money. It is power and control. They are skipping the money step and going right to the power and control step. And censorship is the ultimate power and control in modern society, especially in pop culture. And they're going right for it. So I think it's very important to call this stuff out as soon as you see it. And that is Collective Shout, and they are not stopping. So we're going to keep covering it until there's some sort of sense being made into that. And here's Grums on X. The feminist that jumped the gun and cheered Annie being disabled was wrong about her info and is fuming that Elon posted an Annie update with a buffer overflow joke. What is with these people that want to censor everything? We spoke too soon. You know, she's the entire reason why we like Annie. If they just shut up and let us enjoy guy things, then we wouldn't need Annie. You made the problem. Now you get to live with it. Fantastic point, by the way. And yes, more people just coping and seething about Annie and can't stand that there's a sexy robot AI person. And for all the reasons that I think it might be like dumb or cheesy, I love it when it's making the lefties melt, or the people that want to push agendas and activism, the feminists out there. If they see guys that are just talking to her instead of actual feminists out there, they lose power, they lose control, and they can't stand it. This is Charza Kitsune saying, in other news, the organization spearheading Visa / Mastercard to censor Steam have shielded PDFs from legal consequences before. Which, what? Child bleep incident in Australia. Melinda Tankard resists movement director Collective Shout. Melinda Tankard resists with some of the year 7 to 8 boys at St. Luke's, Caratha, Washington, where I've spent the past 2 days. Yikes. Well, I mean, it should be a very telling thing when people are so projecting against others to silence them. They always have so many skeletons. Every time. This is insane. Wow. And the companies still listen to these people, don't they? That's crazy. Anyways. I'm like, that would knock me back a little bit. I'm just still like, whoa.